Welcome, 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 everyone. If I haven't met you before, my name is Kim. I am the owner of Brainy Girl and a new branch of that called the Uncourse Business. I'll get into all of that a lot later and on some other YouTube videos. But right now, if you're here with me, please do leave a comment. Let me know you're here. And this is called the Expert Brew. So in our free community, I run these either bi-monthly or monthly. And the whole point of them is to help you sort of move past those things that are keeping you stuck and not allowing you to gain momentum and keep moving forward in your e-learning business, your online course business. That could be technology, it could be clarity, it could be strategy, it could be anything else that you are struggling with. That's what this hour is for. And so if you're part of my community, you can actually join me as a guest on this live stream. And so if you aren't part of the community, click the description below and make sure you join. Hello, hello. Who do we have? Heidi and Ari. Awesome. Fantastic. Nice to see you guys. If you guys have the link, then you're welcome to come on and join me live to ask your questions if you want to. Thank you for adding your names. Yeah, so just click the link. It's in our community in the Expert Brew, event. And then you can join me live. So click on that and come on in. I'm going to copy this and throw it in. Oh, you've got it, Ari? Perfect. All right. So I can have one person on with me at a time, but the goal is to move through as quickly as possible, get your answers found, and allow everyone a little bit of time to ask their questions, depending on how many people are on live with us. So Heidi, Ari, anyone else who wants to join, you're welcome to. There she is. Hi, Ari. How are you?
Oh, I have an echo, I think.
Do you have an echo? I don't hear an echo on my side.
Sounds good. All good. I'm good.
Hold on one second. Let me just split the screen here so that we can both be on here at one time. Let me figure this out. This is a new,
I definitely hear you twice. Okay. I did hear you twice, but I had to kill the YouTube, so I hope I'm still.
Yeah, I still see you and hear you. I don't hear an echo on my side, so maybe it's just on your side there. I'm not sure.
I cannot see you now, though, but I guess that's.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on, but that's okay. Ask your question and let's try that.
Well, I have a CCOS related question. Is that okay to go there? I have. It's a
you can ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask. So for those of you who hold on a sec, Ari, for those of you who don't know, CCOS is Rob Galvin's super power up extension that he's created. It's called the Course Creator Operating System. It works within anti-gravity. And the idea behind it is that it helps you create interactive lessons for your courses. Okay, Ari, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so can I share my screen? Is that possible to do that?
I think you should be able to.
There should be a button probably. Screen, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna give you my entire beautiful desktop here, because otherwise here, entire screen. And let me know if there's anything off here. Okay, so, ooh, you get infinity, right? How about this?
Yep, that's good.
It's okay? All right. I cannot see what you're seeing, so let me know if you need me to move it up or down or whatever.
Yeah, no,
Okay, so my main question is, so I'm in anti-gravity here, right? Where we are supposed to put our materials in here, and Rob has all these great tutorials, but we're struggling to get through the tutorials because in order to get through the tutorial, you have to understand a little bit of what's happening here. So I
yeah.
wanted to see if you could maybe give me a bit of a, like, what's agent, what's context, and what do I actually need? I mean, I have been able to create incredibly beautiful lessons with this thing, but I keep
Okay.
running into problems and I don't think I'm doing it right. And because I'm
Okay. What?
unable, have been able to watch the tutorials because we get stuck in the tutorials because we don't know how to get around. I'm a little bit reluctant to ask Rob because he has he will say, watch the tutorials. And I'm like, it's not for lack of trying. We've tried, but
Yeah.
we get here.
Okay. So
So
you're not watching the tutorials. Why?
because I can't, so the first time I watched the tutorial, I got into a thing that said, pretend you're a vegan baker. And the vegan baker does this and play around with it. And I thought, geez, I talk to AI all day long. I don't need this. Clicked out of it and started creating. And I was creating beautiful stuff right out of the boat. But then later on, I ran into trouble, asked Rob about it. He said, go back to square one and watch the tutorials. So I did. And the only way how I knew to do that was to go to a fresh computer, download, follow his steps. And we did that. Me here, my assistant in Virginia, and we did it parallel. And we got stuck at the same spot where all of a sudden, I get the bot was supposed to run the baker thing, but it didn't. So we were just looking at where we were supposed to go now. And so I think the source of the problem is, and he showed this button to go back to past conversations, but there was only one conversation. So I'm on a different computer now. I can't show you exactly where I'm stuck. But me and my assistant, we kept going round and round. We tried over and over, tried starting from the scratch, but we got stuck on the same spot. And I think it's the same question that I run into when I'm trying to use this thing. Like, how do these folders, like, what are these? What's context? What system? What can I ignore? I guess there's a bunch of stuff I don't need to know what it is. But, like, for example, if I wanted to find this tutorial, does that live in here somewhere? Can I click on it and bring it back? Does that make sense?
I have no idea if his tutorials actually live within CCOS or if
Yeah.
they're external.
No, it does.
Um,
Yeah, it does. But I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
if we, tutorials aside, if I wanted to create a new course, right? A new, like, lesson inside my course that looks better. I have
Mhm.
seen, like, when I do it, I just ask the bot and say, let's say I want to do Ear Training Mondays 88. So I can tell the bot, create me a new folder, Ear Training Mondays 88, and it will do that. But when I look at
Uh-huh.
various tutorials he has on his community, I see him, he has all this stuff in here and I don't know where it comes from.
Okay. So think of it like a folder system within your computer.
Yes.
Okay.
And I know this
So,
replicates on my hard drive. So I do know that.
well, it shouldn't replicate your entire hard drive.
No, but these folders here, these folders are in here. So wait, sorry. Where is it? It shows inside my documents folder. Here.
Yes. Yes. So
PCOS, all of
it's a
this.
desktop.
Yeah.
Okay. So CCOS is a desktop environment. Anti-gravity is the desktop environment, and CCOS is a folder that lives on your computer. So it's called local. Okay. It's
Okay.
not cloud-based.
Yes, that's
Okay.
helpful. Yeah.
All all the folders on your left-hand side are instructions
Mm-hmm.
that CCOS will follow. So it will add folders, it will change things within the folders. Okay. So the
Okay.
folders are not something that you need to touch.
These are all mine, right? This is all my stuff.
Hang on, I have to keep switching screens here.
Yeah.
That's your stuff, but that would have been created from CCOS, correct?
Um,
Like you didn't put those in there.
Well, in some of his
Yep.
tutorials, he shows how you're supposed to make a new folder in here. Like, click this and then create a new folder. Here, this button is what he
Yeah.
uses in some of his tutorials.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So where are you getting stuck, Ari? I think I'm a bit lost in where you're getting stuck.
Yeah, it's because I don't even know where to start, honestly. Because I'm like, okay, so if I do it the way he showed it in the thing I just watched, then I'm supposed to go here, and then now I already don't understand why it goes into test. I'm trying to make ear training Mondays 88, right? So I should go
Okay.
in here, then create a
Can
new
you right
folder.
click? Sure.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Okay, now this is doing it. So ear training Mondays 88, right? Now
Yeah.
here I am. And now what he did was, in what he showed, he already had a bunch of stuff of mine in there, and he mentioned getting it through the API, which I know what an
Okay.
API is,
I'm going
but
to
I don't know.
stop you right now. These are
Yeah,
Rob questions, Ari. I'd love to help you, but we would have to dive way deep into it.
I
Um,
understand. Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing. Rob has somehow created, I don't even know what it is yet. It
Mhm.
is launching tomorrow, and it's like the newer version of his CCOS.
Okay.
Theoretically, it sounds like it's going to be easier for users to use.
Mhm.
So today, I would shelf this and I would
Okay.
wait until tomorrow when his new thing comes out, because likely there'll be new instructions, new tutorials, and new things that you need to do and watch.
Okay.
So, my suggestion is to just wait until he comes out with that tomorrow. I think, this was a beta for him.
Mhm.
And based on feedback
Mhm.
from all of you guys and us, he's made some changes to it. And I
Yeah.
assume that means he made things easier for people to follow.
Okay, sounds terrific. And I mean, the results I've been getting have been off the charts. So it's
Yeah.
definitely worth it. It's just
Yeah.
that I cannot, I'm not a coder, and I try things and I get around, but you can so mess everything up if you create the wrong file structure or folder structure. Or I don't
Yes.
understand it. So I'm not comfortable trying things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally get it. I'm going to say hold off until tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will be downloading the new version and trying it out, and I'll be more familiar with it. But honestly, since I knew he was bringing this out, I haven't even touched CCOS anymore since then
Yeah.
because
Okay.
there's no point because I don't know what this new version is going to look like.
Yeah. But in broad
So,
strokes, the things I need to know is that anti-gravity works on my computer, creates a thing that I
mhm.
then upload to Thinkific, right? That's like the bird's eye view.
The bird's eye view is that it's an internal development locally hosted on your computer. Um, it's a development platform that's hosted on your computer.
Mhm.
So you can also, though, um, through APIs and MCPs, which are connectors, you can connect to different tools.
Okay.
Okay. So that might be Google Drive, or that might be, whatever. Any connection you can basically make.
Mhm.
But the idea is that it lives on your computer, it's completely local, and you give it access to different things through these connectors. Okay?
And I
It's
can
not
use
cloud-based.
okay, but I can still use it on different computers. And between me and my assistant, we are just going to be working on different lessons then, or in different spaces. But we have the same, let's say, workflows and brand kit and colors and voice and all that. Is that right?
Yeah, the challenge with that though then is if she doesn't have your exact folders, files, and everything that you need her to have access to, and those change regularly as you're using it, it's hard to keep it updated. Now, there are ways. For instance, I use anti gravity to run parts of my business. And
Okay.
I have my team that basically have a login that allows them to chat with the manager agent as so they don't actually have access to the files and everything, but they can interact with the files that are in there. So there are ways to do that.
Okay.
That's the bird's eye view.
Okay. No,
It's meant
that's
as a development platform or developer platform, not as a cloud-based shareable source.
I have at points been asked to install a browser extension. Is that safe to do?
Depends what browser extension. Oh, the
Anti-gravity.
anti-gravity browser extension? Yeah, that's
It
perfectly
is.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
That was a lot of questions already. Thank you.
That's okay. No, it's good. Um, if you have more, hang tight for a second.
Will
If
do.
there's anyone else who wants to come on here, please feel free to come in. I just want to make sure that I can get to as many questions as possible. We only have a few people here with us today. Hi, Fran. Nice to see you. Heidi, if you have any questions, feel free to click on that link and come on in. I'd really like to figure out how to do a share screen on this thing. This is really, I have to tell you, I've trialed several different um, live stream platforms, and I'm not super impressed with any of them. What do you use? StreamYard, Ari?
StreamYard, yeah. It's just super
Yeah,
expensive. My last bill was like nuts. So
yeah.
it's a drawback. But
Um,
it works
okay, I'm
extremely
gonna extremely well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well.
I'm gonna put you on mute for a minute, Ari, and I'm gonna bring Heidi on. Oh, Heidi was just here. Now she's gone. Hold on a second. Let's figure out. Heidi, you were here. I saw you for a second. Now you have disappeared. What the heck is going on with this thing? This is ridiculous. Okay, Heidi's back. Heidi, hi. You're here. You're on screen. Welcome to the Expert Brew. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you and see you. You're good. You're on screen. Oh, Ari was saying that too. There should be. Did you look and find out if there was any help topics on that? I haven't had that experience with it, so okay. So for anyone who's on here and is listening, no, I'm right here. I keep switching back and forth. I'm here, Heidi. Oh, you're gone. You cannot hear Heidi while in your back end. Yeah, this is the problem with this particular live stream software. I think I'm gonna have to try something else. Because you have to watch it on YouTube. Heidi, you left us. If you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. You were here and now you're gone. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Kim.
Okay, take two.
I only see myself.
That's okay.
It's so
You're fine.
confusing.
You're here. You're with us. You're on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. So I would say your first step, if it's going off track, just like it would be if ChatGPT starts to go off track or Perplexity or any of those, your first step is to either start a new chat or a new thread. Because sometimes if threads and requests get too long, it gets jumbled up in oh, Heidi, you're gone again. It gets jumbled off, it gets jumbled up because it's too much context. Um, So that's a possibility. The other possibility that I would always go to first is their help topics on whatever you're using. And if that doesn't help, then I would go to your LLM of choice and ask it for some help as far as how to stop this from happening. Heidi, I'm not sure if you want to join again. You keep kicking yourself out here. So, Ari, questions about email. Okay. Give me a sec. Let me just finish up with Heidi here and see if that answers her questions or if she's coming back on about this. Heidi Bueller, are you there? Okay, while Heidi's getting her shit together to get back on the live stream, Ari, questions about email. Did you want to come back on and ask me? Did you want to ask me in the chat? Yeah, Heidi, I do not see you on my screen at all. So I think for some reason you keep, might be a setting that you're hitting that you keep kicking yourself out because it happened 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I know, Ari. It's a super pain in the ass. You're afraid of my live stream. Don't be afraid of it. It's just it's a shitty one. You know, I used it years ago, this particular one. It's called Be Live. And I have to say I'm about as unimpressed with it now as I was back then, unfortunately. It keeps kicking you out, Heidi. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Heidi, I think your steps are, just to finish this out. First of all, look on Opus Help Topics. Second of all, ask AI if you can't find why it's doing that. I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. And one of those things should clear it up. I haven't had that issue with Opus, so I can't tell you why it's happening. I can only imagine that it's context. But again, I don't work for Opus, so I'm not 100% sure. Ari says, everyone's talking about interactivity more and more important. Boy, girl, this is my whole uncourse business philosophy, which is ecosystems. And let me turn you on here, Ari. Ecosystems and interactivity, personalized paths, and the importance of it. Because here's the thing. Anyone now can get any information they want through online study guides, through a variety of AI and AI tools, through LLMs. Information is not the issue. So if we keep creating static courses that are information only, and we are not helping them with the implementation, I mean, I'm just going to go down a path for a second here because implementation is so important. 15 stats are about 0 to 15% of your static course users will actually complete the course. If they don't complete the course, whatever course it is, they're not going to leave a testimonial. They're never going to buy another thing from you. There's a whole bunch of downstream issues. Never mind the fact that you created this, hopefully, so that someone could have that transformation. We are in a world now where information is everywhere. It is not the information that people need. It is support. It is community. It is help with the implementation. I was talking to a client yesterday who has PDFs in her courses. Now, hers are live blended learning courses, so they're not static courses, but still, she has downloadable PDFs. Downloadable PDFs are not something that people are, they're time consuming to use. They're tricky for some people to use, especially if they're not fillable. And even fillable PDFs now are passé. Right? They worked a few years ago, maybe, but they don't work now. Now, what works? Interactive tools, community support, personalized paths, peer-led learning. Those are the things that are, in my opinion, going to work much better moving forward in this arena that we're in right now. So let's go back to your question. What's your question?
Yeah, I'm rewriting all my welcome sequences at the moment, and I'm wondering if I can put some of that juice that you just mentioned into the emails as well, and what that would look like.
Yeah. So I don't think email's going anywhere. However, it is, you know how many emails you get a day. I get almost 200 emails a day, and those are filtered, right? We are bombarded with emails. So let's rework this and figure out. Now, I'm not saying you can't have emails that help people move through the course and a welcome email. Great. But I would not count on the fact that people are reading it and doing anything with it. So go by the assumption that no one's reading those emails. If no one's reading the emails and someone enrolls in one of your, should we talk about one of your cohorts or one of your courses?
Sure, yeah, either.
Yeah. Okay. So someone enrolls in one of your courses. As soon as they enroll, what's the first thing that happens?
They should, depend, let's say the live thing. They get led to a thank you page that gives them a short walkthrough on how the dashboard works. But the dashboard's different into.
I know.
But yeah, just how to navigate. This is where you are. This is your dashboard. Here's where your courses are. Here's where your Zoom links are. Here's, where you find your community. This is where you're supposed to post your homework, that sort of thing.
Okay. So what if you turned that into an interactive experience for them where they have to engage with it? It's not a passive. I want you to start thinking less in passive delivery of information and more in terms of interactive experience. We all know when we learn something, if we learn it and then do it, or we do it while we're learning it, it is going to stick more. If we passively watch something, it is not going to stick to the same degree. So could you take that experience and walk them through? Think of it like an interactive lesson, okay? But it's not a lesson as such. It's an interactive experience. So could we take them to a page where you have a short welcome video. I'm talking like 20 to 30 seconds. Hey, I'm Ari. I'm so glad you're here, just for that personal touch, that personal piece of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, please take 5 minutes to go through this experience so that you are prepared, understand where everything is, et cetera, et cetera. So similar to the welcome page in that piece of it, right? But then we have 4 boxes. What would you like to experience first? The community, the course, your student dashboard, or whatever else it is? And they click on that. And when they click on that, within this interactive experience, it says, maybe there's some blurbs about your community. Maybe there's a few snapshots of community posts. Maybe there's a link that opens in a new tab that says, that when they click on the button, it goes over to the post where it asks them to introduce themselves. So they're immediately brought into your community, immediately start interacting with it, right? Now they close down the community, they're back in the interactive experience. So I wouldn't, maybe think about not letting them into the whole kahuna until they have taken maybe 3 concrete steps. So introduce yourself in the community and you lead them right there to do that. Access the first course, right? And again, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here, Ari, but I want you to think of these in terms of interactive experiences, not passive listening, passive watching. I want you to bring them in to this experience and engage them in the experience itself.
Where does that live? Does that live on a custom page, like in terms of tech? Is that a custom page? And that's also like a little video or something. And then under the video, I have 4 things and I can create that with CCOS?
You could create it with CCOS. You could create it with Google AI Studio. There's tons of tools that you could actually create it with and embed it on that page.
On a custom page, right?
In your Thinkific site. So Ari uses Thinkific. So yes, you could ask it for the code that you would then embed on the page. So if you go to, here's one, and it's just a super simple one that I made out of one of my free resources. Here, I'll do a screen share with you and show you how this works. How do I do a screen share with this thing? Man, this is just an awful experience.
At least that's what it was for me.
Holy cow. Yeah, I can't even find where I can even screen share. That's horrendous.
For guests, it's top left, but I don't know if that's where it is for you.
Nope. It's literally nowhere. Okay, so let me explain it to you. So I went into Google AI Studio and I created this app. I deployed it to the cloud. Google AI Studio is another one of the parts of their ecosystem, totally free to use. You can create apps, you can create landing pages, you can build all kinds of things in there. So I'm just going to tell you this. Sorry?
What's the URL for it?
Just Google Google AI Studio. It'll take you right there. Okay. Yeah.
But it's not an app. It's on.
Yeah, it's cloud-based. Yeah. It's part of the Google ecosystem. Okay. Totally free to use. So I went to Google AI. So I started in Gemini planning this app, what I wanted it to look like, feel like, etc. Then I took the code that Google Gemini gave me and I actually fed it into Google AI Studio. Now you could skip Gemini and just go to Google AI Studio. What I wanted it to do was make me a prototype in Gemini, which is what I did. Then I took that prototype over to Google AI Studio and I built out this app that I wanted. Then I deployed it to Google Cloud so that other people could utilize it. And then I got the code. I asked it to give me the code that I could embed on any web page. And I went to a custom page on my Thinkific site and I embedded that code. So now if you go to that app, it lives theoretically on my Thinkific site on a custom page, but the app is embedded within that. Does that make sense?
There's so many moving parts. I couldn't track.
Yeah, that's the steps. But, maybe it can be simpler for you. Maybe.
What is the purpose? You're creating an app. Is that?
My purpose in creating that app is that I am moving away from download this lead magnet and you'll get on my email list, which again, I think worked a few years ago. I think people are much more savvy about that now. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who send shit emails too frequently. And so people are much more wary of that. So my goal is to give the value up front, which has always been my goal, but I'm doing it in a different way now. So when they use this app, which is totally free for them to use, they get ideas about how they can actually use AI in their business, right? Now, I'm not teaching them step by step how to add those AI, which is what a lead magnet is for. It is not to give them every piece and part of it. It is to solve a problem, which is how do I use AI in my business, and to agitate another one, which is, okay, now I know which specific of these 100 different ways that I could use AI. I've got 20 of them that I would like to implement in my business.
This is what you showed me the other day, isn't it?
Correct.
Because that's stunning looking. Yep. And so what didn't register for me though is that this is now a new way of making a lead magnet. That's what you're saying. It's just interactive. It's not just a download I put into my downloads folder and never look at again. I had an experience as I did it, so I'll remember it. Because as you were saying, remembering it. Yeah.
Correct. I had an experience as I did it. I didn't have to enter any of my personal information. So it built some trust between me and that person who might not know, like, and trust me yet. I'm giving them something valuable for free, which is the idea of a lead magnet, right? How do we bring them into our ecosystem?
Okay.
But I'm not asking them, but there is a call to action at the end. So they can export their 20 different things that they've marked that they would like to utilize in their business, AI things that they would like to implement. And then I invite them into our community.
Okay.
There is still a flow to it, but it is much more hands-on. I think those people who continue to do passive courses with no interaction, no engagement, no blended learning, no support, no peer engagement are not going to see very good results.
1,000%. No, I
Right.
know. I mean,
Right.
what I always did from day one was have myself be the one, and that's why I'm like, I'm the one who's doing cohorts. I'm like, we have in community, we have coaches, we have all that. But I'm looking for how can AI fill that gap with it being less work for me. And now I'm like discovering this whole new universe.
Yeah.
I mean, look, between Gemini, Google AI Studio, all these other like ChatGPT, how do I know which one to use and how do I know what my end goal is? So,
Yeah. So I would not look at the tools. I would look at what you need help with. So I'm going to give you an example. I am using how many different tools? Quite a few different tools. Okay. But I start with what do I need help with? So for instance, this morning I was writing my markdown files. Think of those like SOPs for AI. Okay. About how to research long form YouTube content for me specifically, how to then write a topic brief. It gives me 5 to 7 topic briefs based on its research, and then to script it. Those are 3 different workflows, SOPs, markdown files. Okay. So I have those in,
hang on,
say that again.
I'm so sorry, but a markdown file is a thing with stars and dots and things in my
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yep.
I know
That's a
how,
markdown file. A
okay, but
markdown file is just a way that AI can read. So, you know how we go in and we read a Google Doc,
yeah.
right? Markdown files are ways for AI to read it easier.
So
It
it
is
can
an
see a header and it can see bullets and that sort of thing.
correct.
And
Yes.
how do I know what a bullet means? And I know that I happen to know that, bold is the star in between, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. You don't
How
have
do
to.
I
You're going to use AI for that. So what I have been doing is I have been uploading my SOPs to my LLM of choice, and I am asking it to put it in that markdown file or markdown format. Okay,
Thank you.
which it'll do.
Thank you.
So let
Mhm.
me go back here for a second. So I've created basically 3 SOPs that an AI is going to follow. Those are in my Google Drive. I have my Google Drive connected to a variety of tools, Zapier, um, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, right? I have my tools connected to those things. And I am creating a system, which sounds complicated, but just hear me out here. Here's where I started. I started with my goal. Okay. My goal is that I don't want to do the research, figure out the topic briefs, and script the first draft of that long form YouTube video. I want
Mhm.
AI to do that for me. Okay. I don't want to hire someone to do it. I can explain much better to AI what I want, and there's no subjectivity in that. Right? Does exactly what I want every time. I don't have to yell at anyone. It's fabulous. So, um that was my end goal. So what is my end goal? I want it to do the research, the topic briefs, and script the YouTube video for me. Okay. So then I work backwards. In order to get that final output, what do I need? So I work backwards from what the goal or what the process is. And then I figure out what tools I need to make that happen.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'll give you another example. I, for a client and for myself, am working on we'll call it a tool. It's a process. Okay. That pulls in my analytics from Kit, YouTube, Thinkific, Google
Oh,
Analytics, etc. It pulls it all into a Google Sheet for me every morning between 6 and 7 a.m. Okay. And then, because I need that for a variety of my other processes. So, my process of research, part of it involves looking at my Google Analytics, which are my top 10 pages that have been visited in the last 30 days,
mhm.
right? So part of my YouTube process actually includes needing these metrics and analytics. So when I go, okay, here's what I want. The final output is I want a script for YouTube draft it. In order to get that script for YouTube drafted, it needs to do some research and it needs to give me some options for which videos I want to create. Right? So I know that if I want a script, before that, I have to have research and a topic brief. In order to get that research and a topic brief, I have to have analytics that it can look at of mine. What topics are doing well? What topics are flopping, right? That needs to be part of it. It's not just researching my stuff, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out what that process looks like first. And I break it down. With a human, it would be do this, do this, do this, do this, and do this. With AI, we have to break those down into smaller steps often. So do the research, create the topic briefs, present them to me. So I've got a human in the loop. And I say, out of those 7, I'd like these 2. And then I want it to script those drafts for my long form video. And I want it to put it in a certain folder in my Google Drive. And I want it to add a Trello card for me to remind me that I need to review this and create it. So the way I would start looking at this is, what are the repetitive processes in your business? And take one repetitive process. Let's say that YouTube video structure, right? The script for it.
Yeah.
What are the steps that start with you? What are all of the steps that I would need to go through to get that output of that script? And then we work backwards with creating those in my YouTube case, let's say 3 steps before it gets to the script, right? So then I went, okay, well, how do I get all of those metrics pulled into my Google Sheet? There's lots of ways that I can do that. There's lots of tools that I can use to do that. But the easiest tool for me is something called AppScript. AppScript lives inside your Google Drive, and you can use it for different things. So I have it connected to this particular AppScript from my particular Google Sheet that has my metrics on it. I got AI to help me create the AppScript, which is some code that I put in, and it tells this Google Sheet what to do. So pull this from analytics, pull this from YouTube, her YouTube channel, pull this from Thinkific, pull this from Kit, and it adds a new row every day with my last 30 days of data in there. Okay. This feels overwhelming, Ari, but what you need to do is start with one process. So right now, what's one process that you do over and over and over again that you'd rather maybe not have outsourced to someone, but could potentially be automated by AI?
I mean, the first one I meet, and thank you, first of all, because you really, just that one line, what the MD is and what it does and why I want it and why it's so important, that just already cleared up so much confusion for me. So thank you for that.
Good.
As you were talking, I was tracking what you're doing and what your goal is and all that. The first fear that keeps coming up, because I am not 100% sure what an API is and what it does and where my payment is actually related to. And then I almost put my API publicly, and you're not supposed to do that when you're paying for it. I have security concerns, like thinking that I could output all of my Thinkific data into a Google spreadsheet. I just, maybe it's all safe, but maybe there's this one checkbox I didn't check, and then all my emails leak,
Yeah, well, I mean, that comes down to, do you have 2-factor authentication on? Are you using a strong password?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it doesn't matter what tool you're using. You need to have your privacy settings sorted. Even more so if you're using LLMs like ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini. Have you got your settings locked down, right? Do you have 2-factor authentication enabled so that if someone did try and get in, happens to me every day. I get an email about someone trying to break into one of my accounts. Well, guess what? They are locked down. You're not going to get in there without a whole lot of problems. You're not going to get in there at all because I've locked it down. So that concern is, I think, in my opinion, only a concern if you have not locked down your accounts. If you're using weak passwords, if you don't have
No,
two-factor authentication enabled.
I do all that and I
Yeah.
triple secure it. But for
Okay.
example, what happened to me a couple of weeks ago is I was working on a Gemini thing
Mhm.
that required me to paste an API from Google, and I barely know what an API is. It's the
Into
thing you
Gemini?
yes, in order for it to work on my website. The code that was created through this little chatbot that I created, it required an API so it would work on my, which made sense to me because I created that in Gemini and now I'm putting it on my WordPress site, so it needs to know where this comes from, right? So I did that and it asked me to create an API. After 10 hours or whatever, this thing stopped working because now I want a paid thing. I'm like, I'm happy to pay for that. So I'm going in paying. But then on a hunch, I go, Perplexity, is that safe to do? And then it says, well, if you're paying, somebody might find your API, use
Mhm.
it, and use your, account to
Yeah.
charge on that. It's things like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. So my best piece of advice on this is you don't trust AI. You
Exactly.
have guardrails in place, either internally or externally, that allow you to make sure that you are not making a big mistake, like putting your API keys anywhere public, right? So let's say you're working with Gemini and you're deep in it and it says, okay, take this code and put it on, give me your API key and then you're going to put this on your website. The very first thing that I would do is go to another LLM and say, here's what the advice is from Gemini. I'm concerned about privacy issues, right?
Mhm.
Also, in your instructions for all of your LLMs, whether you're using a custom GPT or a project or a space in Perplexity, within your settings of those LLMs, you need to go into the settings themselves and add
Mhm.
instructions like, here are the guardrails. Like, um, you need to protect my privacy. You need to make sure that you don't ask me for things that are going to um, potentially have my data leaked.
Yeah.
And go get AI, several of them, to help you create
I,
these set of instructions.
I have four, and I do exactly as you're saying.
Okay. And don't
But that,
trust them.
yeah, exactly.
You
So
went
that's
over, you took that from Gemini, you went over to Perplexity and you asked it, and it said, there's a problem here, right?
right. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Don't trust one source.
Yeah.
And it's a learning curve. So if you don't want the learning curve, this is not the era for you to be in. Now you
No.
are, I know you love learning. And there's this, how much do I want to learn and how much do I want to outsource or get help with, or um, what can I take off my plate? My whole goal of 2025 was automating as many processes in my business as possible to allow me time to be creative, strategic, and to focus on the things that only I can do that AI cannot do for me. Right?
No, that's all reasonable. And I guess if I may say, my plea to everybody who's teaching this kind of thing or trying to help us
Mhm.
with this kind of thing would be, we need big like overviews. What's a markdown? What's an API? And why do you care? What are the security issues you might need to look at?
Mhm.
Because those are things that stop me in my tracks.
Mhm.
No, it's not safe to
Absolutely.
put an API out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I see a lot of like, tutorials where I'm lost within 2 minutes because I have no idea where this HTML or MD file just came from.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
not unopposed to learning, but my questions would be so stupid to ask because they're so basic, you know.
Mhm.
But and then if you explain that, so I don't know if this thing is ready for people who are not techies. I mean, that's another way to look at it.
If what thing is not ready or
This
ready?
whole AI setup, this whole like agents, this whole model where I, have to trust that the API is not gonna be used wrong or something.
I don't think you trust it any more than you trust anything else. It's not a human, it's just patterns, right?
I don't
So
understand them,
my
I'm
best suggestion is when
blind.
you are watching a video or watching a tutorial or something like that, and you run into language like
Mhm,
MD file, like API, things like that, you mark it down and you go back and you look at what that is.
mhm,
It's no different than learning any other thing that you're going to learn. When you were learning how to use your WordPress Elementor website, there were things that you didn't know and you had to go look up, and this is no different. It's just that it comes at you much faster
yeah, that's true.
right now, right?
That's reasonable, yeah.
So, one of the things that I am like, I think Rob's anti-gravity IDE is fantastic. I also think it's a little bit too technical for non-technical people. Personal opinion only. He may be improving on that as of tomorrow. I don't know what that looks like.
Mhm,
My focus right now is helping my audience understand how to implement AI in their business in a way that feels safe, that is scalable, and with support.
mhm,
So I am creating, for instance, all of these like markdown files that I use for, let's take this morning's topic brief, script writing, etc. Those will all be in my collective membership that will be available for you guys to have with instructions on what to do with it,
good.
right? Not
Yeah,
just here you go. There's a
yeah.
very specific structure that I'm using for this membership. Now I have not been I have opened and closed many memberships, and it has never been something that I ever thought I would do again, to be honest. My opinion of it now has changed because I am thinking about it in a different way now. I am thinking about it as an ecosystem, as peer support and me support, as guided implementation, not a learning center. And that has changed the whole thing for me. So what I believe you guys need is implementation help from the basics, different personalized paths that you can take,
Mhm,
digital assets like markdown files that you could use, whether you're using Claude Skills, ChatGPT, Google Gems, doesn't matter. They're cross-platform that they can be used. But most importantly, I think what my audience needs is to understand how to create an automated process with or without AI to replace one of your repetitive processes that you have. And then they need the tools, the skills, and the understanding and help with the implementation.
yes, 1000%.
That is
And
my
I
perception.
you used to have these templates, and I think you still have them.
Mhm.
So maybe this AI stuff could be like one thing you mentioned earlier is you have a way to get your analytics every morning at 5 a.m. If like that little package, if you'd have that for, my Thinkific and my YouTube, and maybe there are a few tools I don't use and a few others I do use, but if you could break that down for me to just sit down, go through it, hook it all up and do it, um, then that would be super valuable.
Yeah. What this won't be is an on-demand learning library. Because what that's going to turn into is shiny object syndrome. You're going to go, oh God, I need that tool and I need this, and I'm going to implement this and I'm going to implement that. It has to be structured. You
Yep.
cannot go and learn this thing unless I know that you can implement that without support, either peer support or group support or my support. Unless I know, for instance, I will have tutorials in there on ChatGPT basics, where to find your settings, what to connect, what's safe and what's not, how to lock down your privacy, basics.
Mhm.
That does not require peer support or my support. You could go
Mhm.
through a very short tutorial and learn how to set that up properly.
Mhm.
Now, As far as the other things go, for instance, I showed you Notebook LM the other day, just briefly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are so many use cases for it that are very could be very important for your business.
Mhm.
There will be a full implementation, understanding the tool and what it does. Then there will be an implementation session where we actually take what we learned about the basics and we implement it in our business. So I'm not just teaching you something, I want you to do it while we're on that call. That way you have support,
Yeah.
you have guidance, and you have something concrete in your business now, a process, a system, whatever it is, to take one thing off your plate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week, there might be some tools that drop or some templates that drop that have to do with that. I want you to start processing your business piece by piece, utilizing AI and automation, but not in a scattered way. That is not going to help you. It's not going to help you, Ari, and it's not going to help Heidi or Fran or anyone else in my community.
Yeah, but I will say the analytics thing, that's been a problem that's been haunting me for a very long time because Thinkific analytics are really scattered. What I have in my accounting program is different. So I don't have like one real good way to see where so analytics was probably one of the ones I should start with.
Right. And that's
But
one of those things that I could put in as a on-demand learning. It is actually not hard once you know how to do it.
yeah.
What I don't want is I don't want to drop a bunch of tutorials that again are passive learning, which in my opinion is not, it has not worked for my audience ever, and I don't think works for most audiences.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want you to passively watch a video, try, and then it becomes a half done thing that you haven't done because you got to move on to other things in your business that are taking priority, and this problem is still a problem. That's what I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So there will
Yeah,
be
yeah.
very specific criteria for if it becomes an on-demand
Mm-hmm.
thing or if it is live implementation and support.
Mm-hmm. Very
That's
good.
that's how
Yeah.
I'm doing it this time, and I very much believe in this ecosystem and implementation, interaction, community support, and all of those things above passive learning.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah. So will these processes be available to you? Absolutely. If you're part of the membership, it is called a collective. It's not even a membership. It is a place where everyone is going to be able to gather together to start implementing these things in their business to really move their business forward. There's so many scattered parts and pieces of our business: content, marketing, finances, sales, admin, right? We need one place to be able to start to implement these systems and actually move this off our plate. And I know because I've done it, 60% of my business is automated now. It was not last year when I started. That's huge.
Yeah, I bet.
So what I would do at this point is I would start writing down, recording. Again, like I said to you, keep a little sticky note or a notepad or something and just start writing down all of these things that you would love to automate if you could at some point down the road.
Yeah. The
So
tricky ones. Yeah. Yeah.
you start with the goal, then you look at the process, and then you look at the tools, the right tools for that process. Don't start with the tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Heidi says, so many scattered, I don't get to so many things because all I do is create content. Yeah, for sure. Or all we do is react and put out fires all day, right? We're actually not getting to the work that we need to do because we're constantly in reactive mode. And almost all of my audience operates like this. And it's not a blame thing. It's because as a solopreneur, you have so many things to do. But when you start to automate simple processes with guardrails and human loop in them sometimes, right? Like I don't have my AI automation sending out emails on my behalf. Well, with the exception of things like I completely automated my Zoom calls so that when I have a call with a client, when a client books a call, their information is added from my booking software onto a Google Sheet. And then when that recording shows in my Zoom account,